Hi, I'm Bova, or Jake, or whatever you want to call me. The point is, you're here and you're watching another Speedbuild video of mine, and I appreciate that. Today we are looking at the Reptile Gallery, most importantly, the area in front of the Reptile Gallery. Inside of this building, we have alligators and caiman and a couple of Komodo dragons, so what would go well in front of that? Well, I was thinking a tortoise yard, something that is pretty low profile, not a whole lot of attraction level on this thing, right? People aren't going to be like stopping by and hanging out for too long here, but it'd be really nice as they're walking into the reptile gallery to stop and see the two species of tortoise that we have in Planet Zoo. Now, I should point out that we really only have two species of habitat tortoise, and that's a shame. In my research for this habitat, I came across so many different species of tortoise that I feel like this game should definitely have, especially the African spurred tortoise. We definitely should have a couple more, I think. With how many big cats we have in the game, it's a shame that we don't have any smaller tortoises. Especially when the tortoises that we do have in the game are so criminally undersized. The Galapagos tortoise should be double the size it is. It is so tiny. But as you see here, I am making a pair of different yards for the tortoises to run through and an overhang for them to hide under. So they have a left and a right sort of yard for them to explore. Now they'll be doing a lot of exploring as these guys are actually pretty fast. Who'd have thought? I thought turtles were notoriously slow, or at least the tortoises were. Now here we go, we're taking a look at the overhang. Originally I was thinking the overhang wasn't going to be anything more than just a way to transport the turtles to and from their habitat, but then it came to me that instead of perhaps something like lines of an umbrella or an exterior shelter, we could just hide the turtles underneath that awning. You know, this could be its own shelter system. So we're taking a look at doing that. We're hiding the turtles underneath the pathway. Originally, we were going to have it be a dirt-lined pathway, but later on, you'll see here that we decided to go with a metal roof and concrete flooring so that the drainage would not build up underneath the path. It was a big idea for me just to make sure that they were not only dry and secure, but that no mud would start to build up underneath this place. Something place that would be easy to clean and to reach from the keepers that want to get too bogged down with torrential rain or inclement weather. And the turtles especially like it. Now I'm playing with the sandbox mode, so we're not getting all of the welfare checks that would normally be associated with the animals. So if you are ever coming into the problem of, hey, the animals are not liking the enclosures and I really just want to play this game in a creative and fun way, what do? Well, sandbox mode is your best friend in this. You can definitely go through all the options and select whether or not the animals have stress, welfare, if they eat their food, or even if they make bathrooms. If they make the bathroom out in the enclosure, you can turn that off. Something that I did because I didn't like those big lobes of poop on my enclosure. And here we go. We are using this nice brick wall to surround the habitat. I love this flexicolor brick. I feel like I'm using it a lot in my builds, but then again, flexicolor patterns are just so useful, especially when you're building a habitat with in a more modern area and you want to really tone down the colors because it's an older build or more realistic build. Although there are so many ways to play the game. I've seen so many zoos come out with fantasy builds and really outlandish things that are just so interesting and creative that it really just highlights how many ways there are to play this game. And clearly we have so much room for the turtles to explore that we have to go and do our rock work. Now, if you know me and you've seen any of my streams before, you understand that rock work is about 90% of all habitat builds. I think I spend more time placing down rocks than building foliage or even working on some of the smaller indoor structures, some of the coverings. Oh yeah, we're gonna, on this right hand side of the habitat, we're definitely making a bit of a kind of a riverbed, a dried out riverbed appearance. Something that would have like a dead log in it and maybe some weeds in there. This is a bit more of an overgrown area for them to explore in, while the left side is a bit more of an open yard for them to congregate or play with toys or things like that. And I wanted the rocks to be definitely a bit brighter. It's something that would peek out from the back of the brick walls. And we're also introducing some of the in-game base game rocks, because I think the base game rocks can work really well with the turtles and the tortoises and every habitat you put them in. But you just have to be very skillful when you place them. I definitely lean heavily on the aquatic rocks, the faux rocks that we got in the aquatic DLC. But I will always try to place in some of the base game rocks to kind of complement what rocks we're working with here. And as you see here, I'm suddenly noticing that the area underneath the habitat is going to become super muddy. If it were to rain, if it were to snow, if it would be torrential, inclement weather, then there is going to be quite a lot of rain. I mean, quite a lot of mud in this habitat. So I wanted to make sure that they had all the necessary capabilities to clean out and keep the tortoises safe. Tortoises can't swim. Who'd have thought? Turtles can, but tortoises can't swim. So I wanted to make sure that, you know, they can stay dry, especially when it starts to rain. And here we're also placing in some of the drainage so that the keepers can come down there and hose out their their shelter area if the turtles decide to make a mess down there or use the restroom too much in their own habitat. We have some lights here, some just small lighting, just to make sure that the keepers can see them, and it's just for the safety of the turtles. Definitely, it comes down to the animals' safety when we're building these things. Same thing with the emulation of a realistic zoo. We're just trying to make sure that the animals are comfortable and that they're safe, and that the guests are safe and they're protected from the animals. The animals are protected from the customers. I always keep saying customers, but they're guests, right? And this is a beautiful, beautiful little build here. I think I'm really proud of what we did with this, especially using our best friend plaster and aquatic rocks to help cover this area. And they were going to take a look at the fences. Now, fencing is a particularly fun option when you're working with a game like this, especially one that has your own creative fencing, right? A lot of park building games give you the idea of a null fence. I know Jurassic World and Prehistoric Kingdom also give you the null fence idea, but sometimes the in-game fence works well enough, especially if it's feeling like it's kind of lining up with your idea for the aesthetic. My aesthetic is a bit of a natural looking zoo, right? A very realistic emulated zoo. So I wanted to keep the original fence walls in, but when we approach it again, a secondary wall, a secondary rock wall, just in case one of the turtles decides to come up to the chain link fence and snap at one of the guests. Now, what you also see here is that we put the keeper's gate right next to the path, right? So we're not hiding the keeper fence, and I think that's an entirely fine thing to do, especially if you have a low security animal, like say the turtle, or perhaps the crane, or maybe some sheep, right? If the animal escaping would not be too much of a hindrance on the guest's comfort, like the tortoise, I think the tortoise could get out and people would just kind of go about their day and just think, oh wow, the tortoise is out. Well, that's interesting. Well, I guess I should just move on, right? It's not a dangerous animal, and the guest wouldn't try to it's not a high profile animal, so it's not like we're trying to hide the animal and the security against the animal for the animal. This is a low security animal, right? So it's very okay that we have a low security fencing here. The keepers can just walk in, take care of the animals, and do their business. Now we're getting to the foliage work, where I'm using the lady ferns. The lady ferns are very fun. They came with the base game, and I think they're one of the few examples of base game textures that work really well still. Fallen logs. Everyone loves fallen logs. It's definitely a vibe coming into the new year. We gotta be using these fallen logs more often. In a real zoo, they would be throwing these bad boys left and right. Animals love fallen logs. They're full of bugs. They're full of nutrients. You can just like munch on them. You could rub your shells around them. We're also using some of our trees as bushes, a big, easy thing for us to do, and a big, easy thing for any player to do if they so chose. And we're definitely trying to emulate what was happening inside of the Reptile Gallery. The inside of the Reptile Gallery is a more of a prehistoric kind of dinosaur feel. So I have these low-hanging ferns, these big, flat, broad-leaf plants, this kind of, I don't want to say it is a tropical feel, but it's a very dry and tropical feel, that's for sure. Okay, now we're going to place a couple more tortoises into the habitat and take a look at the live part of the video. Alright, we're here with the live build. As you can see, I've done a bit more decorating. Just some fencing and some lighting. Nothing too extensive. I wanted the speed build to be about the enclosure, and I wanted to make sure that you weren't being bogged down with these little fence pieces. But as you can see, the tortoises love their environment. We have the Aldabra and the Galapagos tortoises here. If I can just zoom in, I can see that one is hopefully sleeping over there, and the other ones are just kind of walking around. How do these things exist? They do not look very versatile in their environment, that's for sure. You can come around and we see that the keepers are throwing food in to our tortoises, some treats. They have a little keeper, that's the educator, and they're doing a show. They're doing a show for them. It's lovely. We can walk over and just step in and see that they're having a good time, for sure. Now, exactly, this isn't too exciting of a habitat, and I understand that, and that's okay because this is a low security habitat. This is a low star level habitat. I just wanted the guests to have a little bit of something to look at while they were coming into the gallery or as they were walking to a different habitat. I just wanted it to be a little bit more interesting than a garden. A garden full of tortoises. Why not? And that's it. That's what our speed build's about. Thanks guys for watching. I will catch you guys in the next one. Please hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button. Go follow me on Twitch. Go follow me on YouTube. I'll see you guys later. Thanks so much for watching and have a lovely day.